What is up, everybody? Appreciate you tuning in. We are back for another episode of the On the Ball podcast. I'm just running things usually. Kyle, I have Dylan right here next to me. Got Brett as well. The normal crew. We're still going on without Jake. Hopefully he can come back soon. But you got the three of us. We're gonna have a good time, and hopefully you all enjoy it as well. What's going on, Jory? Appreciate you being in here already. So before we get into everything, because we do have a lot to talk about, we're gonna talk about some Team USA. We're gonna talk about old Gilbert Arenas, and his mouth getting him in trouble once again. We'll talk about some NFL because there was some news within the NFL that we will get into as we are getting closer to preseason coming around. I mean, the Hall of Fame game is right around the corner. Without further ado, like I said, Dylan, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. There's a lot of happening in the sports world, so it's really hard to just find things to be super interested in. But I mean, we had MLB All-Star Week, which was interesting. Of course, it's always fun watching the home run derby, things like that. I mean, NCAA came out, so that's been honestly occupying my time a lot. But other than that, I'm excited. Like you mentioned, Hall of Fame games coming, second, third week of August? That can't come soon enough, it feels like. Can't wait to watch some football. College will be coming soon after that, and then we'll be in the preseason swing, everything. It'll be fun.
That's true. Look, College Football 25 has got me pumped up for college football season.
Mm-hmm.
I know Madden did their gameplay deep dive today. I know people say it every year. They get excited for Madden. I'm actually excited for Madden this year.
I played the beta. It was pretty fun.
I mean, it looks like college football kind of let us know what direction they were taking Madden in. I'm completely okay with that. But, Jory mentioned the Yankees stink. As a Red Sox fan, love to see it. But yeah, also right here above you got Brett guarded 3. What's going on, Brett? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk sports as usual. I just got off playing college football myself. Just led Keenshaw State there to a NCAA title, so it's great. I was thinking about you, Kyle, because I had to beat Boston College to do it.
You just heard that lightning outside my window. I've noticed like a lot of people who are playing Dynasty, like BC, somehow is like some beast in the game, which is kind of crazy. I'm like, can I get that in real life? Like, can you make it happen? But look, it's a great game. It's a little bit tough for some people. I'm enjoying it.
I'd say my only frustration if you try to play on Heisman, like I swear everybody gets upgraded to Heisman difficulty except your offensive line. They turn into the biggest traffic cones you'll ever see. And I'm not asking for perfect blocks every time, but can I get like a quarter of a second before I just get obliterated by the entire D line?
It's the little details that just make the game so great.
Oh, yeah. I don't have any actual complaints about it. That game's been so much fun.
Right. Look, we could talk college football 25 all day, but let's go ahead and get into some of these topics because, like I said, they are pretty interesting. So we're going to start off with Team USA. They finished up their exhibition showcase. First game is this weekend. I think the Olympics kick off like Thursday or Friday. A lot of kind of, I don't know, I think from a lot of fans, there's some uneasy kind of feelings about this team, certain aspects of it. And, looking at it, like my first question I want to ask is, what is your confidence level in this group going over to Paris?
I'm still confident that this is a gold medal team. I'm still very confident. I think if anything, the exhibition games have showed that it's not going to be the cakewalk that a lot of people probably thought it would be, and that's all right. We're going to get tested. It's going to be a battle. It's not going to be us beating up on a bunch of different, countries like in the past, like in '92 when we beat everybody by 44. That's not the case anymore. The competition got tougher. I still think that this is a golden team. After the first game, we should have Durant back. But yeah, I'm still very confident in this squad.
All right, Dylan,
I'd have to
what's your level
agree.
of confidence?
I mean, I believe this is still a gold medal team. You got to think we played probably two of some of the harder teams in our showcases in Australia and Canada, and we honestly played them pretty comfortably. We had one close game that was against South Sudan where it was like we basically had to, hit a game winner to win it. But I mean, that was
Mhm.
just a really bad shooting night from the teams. South Sudan shot 42% from the three. The US shot like 20 something percent. Curry was like 3 for 9. Anthony Edwards was 1 for 7. Tatum was 0 for 3. So just not a good shooting performance that day. I still think this team, given the height of the Olympics and how well all these teams, how well all these players have handled serious situations, I think once the Olympics start, it's just going to be a cakewalk from there. But maybe not as good as they thought they were going to do. They have to
Mhm.
actually like be confident in some of these teams, get in there. But the concept of what they're doing, they still went undefeated in all their showcase games.
Right. I mean, that's kind of like the big part of it is like they still won these games, even though they might not have been as pretty as some of the fans would have wanted. Uh, I think it kind of speaks to the fact that the international talent continues to grow, whether it is from guys coming over and playing in the NBA against a lot of these players and understanding how they play, or just the fact that the academies over there have gotten so much better and they're just like cultivating better talent as well. So yes, we're not going to see, USA Angola from 94 where it was like, 150-20. We're not going to see games like that. We're going to see really competitive games. South Sudan, as Dylan said, played really well. Germany, you knew was going to be tough because they're one of the top teams in the world. Serbia, you figure was going to be a tough team as well. And look, this is probably good practice for once the games do matter in the Olympics that they've had to, play close games, which means they had to execute late in order to win these games. So I don't know if I wouldn't say I'm like at a 10 in terms of confidence, but I don't think anybody necessarily should be because there are a lot of good teams out there in the world. But I'm at like an 8.5 easily with this team. I don't think that's like anything wrong with that necessarily. I do have another question about Team USA. So the whole Kevin Durant thing, because he didn't play in any exhibition games. We saw how they sent Kawhi home because of an injury risk. Durant is trying to come back from a calf strain. Should Kevin Durant have been replaced, or do you think he'll be fine probably once the Olympics start and it won't be much of a story?
I don't know. It's really hard when you pay these guys this much amount of money. Maybe from the Suns' perspective, they probably would like him replaced. But I mean, Kevin Durant's a
Mhm.
ball player at the end of the day. It's his decision. Kawhi's Kawhi. It's kind of like a Kawhi thing to do when it happened. If Kevin Durant wants to sit out and wait, I mean, he kind of deserves it. I mean, I guess I get the concept, give it to another player, but if he's going to be able to play at some point, he's still one of the best players on the court, best players in the world. I mean, it's just hard to keep a
Mhm.
talent like that away from the court, especially if he wants to play. I mean, yeah, you probably don't want to see him get injured more, especially before the start of the season, especially given his history as well, too. You probably don't want to see that, but man, he's still the best player in the world, and he should be a part of the best team in the world. So,
Yeah, I think with
Yep.
Kevin Durant, it's always tough just because calf injuries and kind of just strains are just kind of tricky. Sometimes they'll heal really quickly, sometimes they'll take longer. So I think at the end of the day, when it comes to a guy like Kevin Durant, he's the kind of guy that will still be perfectly fine coming back from this. So I'm fine keeping him on there. He's a guy that's more so a finesse guy. He's going to rely on his jumper more often than not.
Mhm.
even a semi, like even if he comes back a little less than 100%, he can still provide some more help with rebounding and some weak side rim protection. So I still think there's some value in bringing Kevin Durant back, even if he is a little less than 100%. But if he wants to, if the Suns decide or if he decides that he wants to pull out because of this, I wouldn't blame him. But I do think it's the right call keeping him because even just having him on the court, just to knock down some jumpers and spread the floor, that would help a ton.
His size is just it's hard to match up against, just period.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good point. I know a lot of people have said like this Olympics is about guard play and bigs. Durant is a guy that has the height. He has a little bit of rim protection ability, but he can also handle the ball. In certain lineups where you might want to take some pressure off of LeBron, bring the ball up, or if you have like a Curry or a Holiday, Durant can do that. Durant can also get to his spots. He can post up. He can do all that. So yeah, it's you can definitely see where he fits. It's just that not having the ability to see him during the exhibition schedule, I guess, does make you wonder if the calf strain is a bigger deal than maybe he's letting on or a Team USA is letting on. He did have the Achilles injury. Last thing you'd want to see is him like re-injure the calf because, like you said, Brett, calf injuries are tricky. Like you could feel fine one day, it might feel a little tight the next day, and now you're missing a couple of games. I mean, obviously, Team USA has the depth that they don't have Kevin Durant to still perform well, which they did during the exhibition season. But I don't know. I just thought it was a little interesting that it seemed like when they first started, it was day to day, and then he just never played. And now it seems like I guess he's going to try to make it work during the Olympics. We'll have to see how that turns out for them. Rotation. Next question I had. What do you? I guess in terms of looking at the players in Kerr, trying to figure out who fits best with who, and everything like that. What kind of rotation do you think is best for Team USA? And I asked that because there were certain games where, when Embiid is starting, he looked like he was struggling. And I was watching the games and I was like, is Kerr going to start Embiid in the Olympics? When you have AD playing out of his mind right now, you have Bam playing really well. But then if you're Kerr, that second unit that he likes to go to where you have AD, Kerr, like Tatum, White, and then a fifth guy with them, brings a lot of energy, brings a lot of defensive pressure. So does he want to mess that up? Like, what should Kerr do with this group right now?
I think when it comes to the bigs with Joel in general, I think you just got to be careful. And the only reason I say that is I'm cool with the AD starting because it gives more flexibility. Joel Embiid obviously is not as agile, so you're kind of stuck doing drop coverage. So I think Kerr's rotations are actually they're pretty fine. I actually don't mind them too much, but I think you just got to be more flexible with starting because if you run into a team who's got great guard shooting, you can't play Joel at that point or start him against that because then it's just going to be dribble handoffs and to pull up threes all day against us, and that's tough to keep up with. So I think when it comes to the rotations, Kerr's been fine for the most part. I just think he has to be a little more flexible with maybe starting AD and Bam more. So he's got a lot of options, and you can tell he's been tinkering. We even saw Derek White last game, so he's tinkering right now, and I'll be interested to see what he comes up with in the actual Olympics.
I agree. I mean, I basically kind of agree what Brett said. Just like, don't be afraid to change up the lineup, even if something's working. Just find the right matchups because someone's going to pick and poke and prod. You're going to have the same, tape with the same lineup rather than, making the smart, right, calibrated moves. So, yeah, I mean, it'd be smarter to start 80 in some specific situations. Don't be afraid. I mean, 80, it does kind of feel like he's been one of the best players on Team USA so far. I mean, throughout the showcase games. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it'd be not only natural to start him as well too. It's not like he didn't deserve it or nothing like that. And he's still like one of the best matchups as well too. Just a tough player to play against. So just don't be afraid to change it up.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not like you're changing it up
Okay.
with some garbage bench player. You're changing it up with
Right.
one of the also, best bigs in the league. So, I mean,
right. I mean, it's first world problems right there. Oh, I
yeah,
can sit an MVP in Embiid out of the lineup and put in a guy in AD who's defensive player of the year caliber, and when obviously when he's healthy, is an MVP caliber talent as well. So it's not the worst thing to have happen. And I know like Anthony in the chat was saying that the lineup might change based on the team that they play. I think that could very well happen as well. I know Jory mentioned about the discourse around Team USA, which we will get into in a little bit because, yeah, I've seen some of it and it is nauseating seeing it from a day to day basis. But we will definitely touch on that here in a little bit. She also said she would prefer if AD did start. Just like I said, whichever one Kerr goes with, he's not going to be wrong. Yeah, had one more question. Let me see really quickly. All right, so looking at the groups, I probably should have had a graphic for this. I couldn't really find one, so I did write it down. So we're looking at a Group A with Australia, Greece, Canada, and Spain. Group B, France, Germany, Japan, and Brazil. Then the Group C of Serbia, South Sudan, Puerto Rico, USA. So it's a 12-team tournament. 8 teams will make it out and fill the quarterfinal bracket. So basically your top 2 in each of the 3 groups, and then your 2 top finishing third place teams will make up the quarterfinal. I guess I was going to ask, like, you have like predictions on who the 8 teams would be? Like, obviously you don't have to rank them in any way. I think the easiest way would be like Group A, Australia, Greece, Canada, Spain. Who do you think would be the top 2 that come out of that group?
That one should be pretty. It'll probably be Australia and Canada. I know Greece has Giannis, but the issue you run into is Greece isn't very deep outside of Giannis, and Australia and Canada, they're just going to be deeper teams, and they're going to win war of attrition. So, give me Australia and Canada, Group A.
Okay.
yeah. I mean, both those teams lost to Team USA, but they're still probably the best of the competition. I'd probably have to agree and go, Canada and then Australia. But with Spain being close, Spain's also normally a pretty good team in the Olympics with basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you as well. Australia and Canada, with Spain being a team that's going to factor in. I mean, yes, Greece has Giannis. Outside of that, yeah, I agree with you. So I agree on the top 2 that you have there. All right, so Group B, France, Germany, Japan, Brazil. Who do you have as the top 2 in that group?
To me, this one might be one of the easiest of them all. I think it's going to be France and Germany.
Yeah, I'd probably have to agree. France and Germany. Japan might be just decent, but France and Germany. France is going to be scary.
Yeah.
It's going to be rough.
Groups. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun to see. Obviously, Wemby international stage. He'll probably have he's going to have the home crowd behind him, so there'll be a lot of oohs and ahs when he's on the court. But Group C, yeah, Serbia, South Sudan, Puerto Rico, USA. Do you think USA wins this group? And obviously, I'm assuming you're going to have them in the top 2, but do they win the group?
Yeah, I think USA wins the group, Serbia second. I think those are the 2 best teams. I know, teams like South Sudan, they already showed they're going to fight and scratch and claw all the way to the bitter end. I just think that they don't have the talent to, pull it out in the long run. But all the credit in the world to what they did. But, yeah, it's USA and Serbia.
Dylan?
Yeah, I'd probably have to agree. USA and Serbia. So I guess South Sudan might be just pretty interesting just because they gave USA a run for their money. Maybe they might just come out and actually be a pretty decent team. Serbia seemed decent. They weren't the greatest, it seemed like, still in the showcase games. But yeah, I would say USA, Serbia, just because we know Jokic.
All right. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. So now this is where we might disagree. So out of the remaining teams, who would be the two to round out the top 8? So we would be looking at Greece, Spain, Japan, Brazil, South Sudan, Puerto Rico. Who would be the two teams out of that group that you think would qualify as a 7th and 8th team in the quarterfinals?
I feel like we'll all agree on Spain.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The last one is tricky because now this is the part where I go, okay, well, Greece having Giannis just might be enough to tip the scales against the rest of these teams because, whew. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'll go Greece. I think Giannis turned into a bulldozer and gets him in there. So I'll go Spain and Greece.
All right. Dylan?
Definitely Spain. Man, yeah, I'd have to say Spain and Greece. I'll go with Greece. I like it. Again, South Sudan might just be interesting. I'm giving them credit for that close game. I also like Japan a lot too. They might be a good team. They played Australia really close.
Okay. Yes, once again, I agree with Spain. Look, I feel like I think South Sudan gets in. I I was encouraged by what I saw from them. They're a team that has a lot of good defensive pressure. They're able to knock down the three. My only worry is I feel like their 3-point shooting might be really streaky, but if they are on, they are a dangerous team, especially if you don't, take them seriously. I mean, part of me wants to think, could they upset USA or Serbia in the group stage? I feel like they'll give both teams a run for their money, but I feel like, I just feel like that their energy will be enough to get them in, which I do think would be a really interesting story. And part of the reasons why is kind of our next topic, which I guess we can go ahead and segue into. Old Gilbert Arenas. Look, if you checked out Gilbert Arenas in any way, any clips of his show, you already know. They love to say a lot of nonsensical stuff on there. So this is what Gilbert Arenas put out. I think it was like an Instagram video or something like that. I remember just seeing him talking about it and talking about South Sudan. I mean, I'm not going to necessarily read the whole quote, but basically he was saying Embiid's throwing the game for his cousins because we know Embiid is African. I'm pretty sure he's not South Sudanese, which I guess Gilbert didn't look that part up. He talked about how they have no shoes. America has to send them shoes. They're playing on dirt courts. Called them Air Up There, which was a movie that was about like African basketball. Just basically a lot of ignorant talk from Gilbert Arenas, which for the most part isn't anything new. But like this right here is just not okay. This is the kind of talk that a lot of countries look at Americans and go, yeah, kind of arrogant to say what you're saying. Like he could have just went on there and gave South Sudan props for hanging with the U.S. team when they were a heavy underdog. Could have just done that. Don't know why he went down this lane and had to trash them while throwing Embiid in there, even though Embiid's not from that country. So it was like stupid on one level, ignorant on a lot of levels, and kind of dangerous talk on some other levels. So I mean, I'll let you guys kind of chime in here. Like, what do we make about Gilbert Arenas here? Like, I mean, yeah. It's Gilbert Arenas.
It's wild. I mean, all I can really say, it's just wild to say. I mean, just how I view how that game was, it's like, yeah, there's other countries out there who are like have great talent. Like you should not discredit them even less, more so now because yes, they might have less. It doesn't matter. They're like still out here playing well and grinding. Some of those players are on NBA teams. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just wild. Stupid to say, but I mean, that's what gets you likes and clicks nowadays. So probably has something to do with it. It's dumb though. It's dumb, especially when you're a team like South Sudan. I'm not sure if like they saw that, but I imagine they did. A lot of those players did. No, it just kind of hurts because you just played one of the best teams in the country, if not the best team in the country, in the world,
Mm-hmm.
actually, to a 1 point game where they had to hit a game winner. It's just wild to say.
Yeah, right.
It's Gilbert Arenas for you, though. There's always that wild stuff.
All right. Start this off with a little history lesson. In Game 6 of the 2006 playoffs, Wizards-Cavs, Gilbert Arenas went to the free throw line in overtime. Up 1, had a chance to hit 2 free throws to put the game away maybe. Go up 3. He missed both of them. I didn't think he would have a miss worse than that. And then he came out with this. Because what in the actual... here would be my question for Gilbert. If I said this quote, or let's say Dylan said this quote, would he be all cool with it? No, he wouldn't be. Let's keep it a buck. He would not be cool with it. All of a sudden, I would be a racist POS. I'd be a terrible, be a terrible person. South Sudan played their ass off. Did they play above? Did they play better than they might the next time we see them? Maybe they did play above their weight class. Maybe they had a really good game. We had a really off one. It's possible that we blow them out next time. But that doesn't take away from the fact that they completely came out there and they showed heart, hustle, integrity, and they played their butt off. And they played the best team in the world to a 1-point loss, which is a lot better than a lot of teams can say. This is just ignorant, stupid bullshit from Gilbert. And I don't know what happened. I don't know with Gilbert because, I would have loved to see him be remembered as the guy who saved the Wizards from being completely irrelevant outside of the time Michael Jordan came out there and took a quick piss in Washington. But I don't know if, getting punked by Javaris Critterton changed this man. But at the end of the day, this man went from being a Washington Wizards legend and icon to now he'll be remembered as the guy who just sits there and farms engagement. Any way possible.
Yeah.
Throwing out racism for engagement, clickbait, it doesn't matter. And it's unfortunate that he had to do this. It's unfortunate that he had to go this route. Because, once again, we should be praising South Sudan, not making comments like this. So, this is absolutely freaking stupid by Gilbert Arenas. But quite frankly, if anybody's seen any clips from his podcast, we all know at this point, he's just a freaking idiot at this point.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like you said, he was a really good Wizard player. I mean, even that tenure, we remember the Guns locker room celebrations and all kinds of stuff. So he's not one who shies away from controversy. I would love to see necessarily like the backlash from this stupidity, because even the part I threw out that I left out was the whole Ahi tribe. He did like a hand gesture to like mimic a blow, like a dart gun, which, I mean, once again, like Brett said, if he or Dylan had done that kind of gesture and speaking about an African team, it would have been like the worst thing ever. And for him to just do that was just, I was just watching it like, I've seen some stupid things from him, Rashad McCants and those guys, but this is the absolute worst that I've seen from him. And like, I don't know if he's apologized or anything. I honestly don't care, because he shouldn't have said it to begin with. Like, if he didn't say it, he wouldn't need to apologize. But I'm hoping that at the least, he's thought about apologizing for this. Like I said, I'm not going to go like check on his timeline or anything to see if he does, because
He probably
I
doesn't care
honestly don't
neither.
listen to any. Yeah, I don't listen to anything he really says anyway. I just saw this and was like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to let this go. As Jory said, yeah, Joel Embiid's from Cameroon, not South Sudan. I don't know if maybe he thinks Africa's just one big country and they're just all the same, which I don't know. Such an idiot. He's an idiot. There's no apology for sounding like an idiot. It's free to keep your mouth closed. Yes, that's very much true. But also, like Brett said, he just wants the engagement and likes to bait people.
Okay, at the end of the day, with like what Jory just said too is true. It's better to keep your mouth shut and have people think you're stupid than open it and prove them right. And Gilbert decided to open it and prove everybody right. And this is not how I wanted to remember Gilbert. So it's unfortunate, but he's completely destroying his own legacy and covering it up with this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know Jory mentioned earlier about the discourse around Team USA, because there was another part not related to Gilbert Arenas or anything. Because this stupidity. Probably don't need to talk about it much more. I'm going to leave it up only because I didn't do a graphic for the other one. But can we stop with the like daily comparisons of 94 and this group, and the whole 94 played against like 8 NBA players, and this group's playing against so many? You want to know why 94 didn't play against a lot of NBA players? Because their job was literally to expand the game globally. The reason why we're in the position we are today is because of that 94 team. They went out there as celebrities, put on a show. Was that Barcelona, I believe? And because of that, you had a lot of kids internationally looking at this and going, I want to be the next Michael Jordan or Larry Bird or Magic Johnson. And that's why we are where we are now. So obviously this group's going to play against more NBA level players because there's more international players in the NBA. I can't stand seeing it every day. It's this, this team would wash 94 because in the league in 94, Jordan played against plumbers. You want to go up and talk to Charles Barkley and call him a plumber? You go ahead and do it. But Jordan played against a lot of great players, the same way that there's a lot of great talent today. And like Jory said, the whole discourse around Team USA, and it even goes further than that. Because if you don't see that, it's like Angel versus Caitlin. It's Bronny versus Jaylen Brown. Bronny versus somebody. It's like, can we just expand these conversations to other topics? There's a lot more stuff we could talk about. If you want to compare, I don't know, this group and just the players within it and talk about rotation and stuff like that, I'd rather see that conversation than deciding if this team could beat the 94 Dream Team. Like, that's all I want to say about it. I mean, Brett, Dylan, if you have anything to add.
No, I agree. I mean, it's a different game too. I think people forget about that. It's a way different game and everything as well too. But yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
Half of them are just farming for engagement. If I walked up to half these people that posted about the 92 Dream Team and asked them who was the leading scorer, they wouldn't be able to tell me. They'd immediately go, Michael Jordan. Wrong. It was Charles Barkley. Guess what?
Yeah,
it was
they probably couldn't name 5 people on the team.
Right. If I asked them who the 4th leading scorer was, they wouldn't know it was Chris Mullin. If I asked them who the college player was on the team, do you think they would tell me about Christian Laettner? Probably not. So I kind of just ignore a lot of discourse like that because it is tiring. I don't need to hear about Bronny versus Jaylen Brown or Marcus Jordan or Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. That's great, but let's talk about like Asia Wilson, or let's talk about how awesome Enrique was at the All-Star game. Like, there's so much talent and so much going on, but everybody just like almost like a sniper just like scopes in on one thing, and that's it. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah. But then like call their groups greatest debate room and all that's like, not even living up to the title of the group. Like, that's the part that kills me. Like, if you're gonna be a debate group, then come with a legit debate. Don't just come with stupid stuff just to get people to go in there and be like, "Oh, you're an idiot. How could you think this way?" And then for the poster to be like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about." And it's like, what kind of debate is that? Like, I mean, like you, Brett, I like look at it and then move on because I'm not even gonna waste energy trying to make a point in those groups anymore. I'm done. It's so annoying. All right, well, let's move past old Gilly Gill. Evan Mobley. Let's get some positivity in here. Evan Mobley got paid. You know, we love to see young players get paid. He's coming off of I would probably say maybe his best season so far as a pro. He got, was it 5 years, 224, but he can make up to 269, which a lot of times when we see the up to part, they're probably not going to hit all those to make all that 269. So we'll just say 5 years, 224. His averages last year was 15.6 points, 8.8 rebounds, and a block and a half a game. He did shoot 37% from three, which I do think is a key number for Evan Mobley, because when you watch Cleveland, there's a lot of talks about Allen and Mobley. And it seemed like before those two kind of struggled to be on the court together. But if Mobley can continue to shoot that well from three, it does make it easier for those two to coexist with Donovan Mitchell, who they re-signed. But I do want to ask the question, because we have talked about this before. Does this commitment to Mobley, does that mean that they might be closer to actually dealing Jared Allen away? Or do you think that they really want to make those two work together?
So I think the answer to that's a pretty easy one, right? They should deal Jared Allen, but they're not going to. Donovan Mitchell likes playing with Jared Allen. The thing that Jared Allen does well is he sets insanely good screens. And of course, for a guard like Donovan Mitchell, who can get a lot of space created just off a basic ball screen from Jared Allen, yeah, that's a valuable to a guy like D-Mitch. So D-Mitch wants him. Jared Allen's going to be staying. However, that being said, Evan Mobley's a 5. He's miscast as a 4. A lot of people say he played the 4 in college, except when he was placed as the lone big on the court, he was a much better player. We saw it in the Celtics series. They placed him at the 5. Allen was out with an injury in that game where they got eliminated. But the one thing they didn't have was an answer for Evan Mobley. I think having Jared Allen and Evan Mobley only works if we look at the number 37% for Evan Mobley, but what we should be looking at too is how many attempts is he taking?
Yes.
He's hit it on about one attempt a game. If you want this duo to work, you're banking on Evan Mobley being able to still hit 37, but he needs to up it to 3, 4, 5 attempts a game. He needs to do this at a high volume to keep the paint cleared. And if he can't do that, then you're going to end up having to move on from Jared Allen if you want to bring the best out of Evan Mobley. So I think that they should move on from Allen to bring out center Mobley, but I don't think they will.
Okay. Dylan?
I mean, yeah, they probably will stay. They'll stick with Jared Allen mainly because one, like Brett said, he's Donovan Mitchell's big advocate for him. They play really well together. But also, Jared Allen is not making on a max contract. I mean, he has 2 years at $40 million left. So I mean, that's a pretty good deal for what Jared Allen does on the court. I mean, even if the fit doesn't work, I think any team would be happy to have Jared Allen at that money. Just to bring out more out of Evan Mobley, it's probably smarter to move them, especially since you're giving Mobley max money now. But yeah, they're definitely going to, stick with Jared Allen, give Kenny Atkinson, as much talent as he possibly can use and see if maybe he can bring more out of all of them together, or maybe even figure out a lineup that's a little bit different, rotations always change on a fly, but yeah, it looks like they'll probably just run it back. And Atkinson's probably going to want as much talent as he can have, especially taking over this team and still having kind of higher expectations. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I do agree that Mobley would probably be best served at the 5. like he represents kind of the new age 5 that the league is moving towards. Not necessarily the biggest body, but he's like very long, so he's able to contest shots and has the mobility to play a little bit away from the basket. He can post up a little bit. I do agree with you, Brett, that yes, the 37% looks good on paper, but it is a bit deceiving. And if he does up his shot attempts to like 5 a game and he still shoots that percentage, then yeah, you'll see his average go up and he'll become more of a threat to defenses. I still think now, even with the 37%, if he was to hang around the perimeter, I don't think defenses would necessarily overreact to him standing out there and shooting threes right now. But if he can prove that he can still knock them down, I mean, let's say he ups his attempts but drops to like 35%, I think he'd still be okay doing that in Cleveland. So
Brett has a great point. I just looked it up, and he's literally shooting that. He shot that 37% on, 0.4 makes out of 1.2 attempts.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it's
not great numbers.
Right. It's not, and I'm assuming it's something he's probably working on, and we'll see a bit more next year. But now that he's getting paid like this, can he be a 2010 guy consistently?
I mean, yeah, he's already kind of at that 10-point mark. I mean, just there's so much talent, especially at the guard spot there. So it's always kind of hard to say. He's not going to get as much touch as, let's say, if it was just Darius Garland or just Donovan Mitchell there, with having two good all-star caliber. Donovan Mitchell, yes, Darius Garland on fringe, but like caliber type guards there makes it a little tough. But I mean, he only played 50 games last year. So, I mean, that probably does go into his splits a little bit more. Played 29 less. I mean, he had 16 points the year before. I mean, almost 10 rebounds. If we can get that scoring up, like we said, 1, 2 threes extra made a game, that puts him at 21. So, I mean, it's not that hard. He just needs to become a better shooter, take more attempts from there, hit it at kind of roughly that same clip, like you mentioned, like hitting it at 35, but with 3 attempts, like with 3 shots made rather than just like 1. I think a lot of people would look at that a little bit differently, because then you'd be up to like 20 points, 18, 19, something close like that, rather than, the 15, then having it.
And I think with Evan Mobley, he doesn't even need to get up to 20 points, right? I think even if he averages like even 15 and 10 with DPOY level defense like he's been providing, that's great. Even let's say, I think the most realistic and most like optimistic guess I could have for him is I could see him do 18 and 10 next year. If he gives you 18 and 10 with DPOY caliber defense, that's awesome. I think at that point, even then, you could argue that he's going to be worth it, and we're going to be looking at a cap spike too coming up soon. So when the cap gets growing and this contract, stays the same in size there, I think that's when that contract could become immensely valuable in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's also a big part of a lot of these big contracts that were signed this offseason. Got to realize the NBA cap continues to skyrocket. So yeah, it may look crazy now, but 2-3 years down the road, when you have like half the league making what Evan Mobley's making, it's not going to look that crazy. And just one last thing on the 3-point shooting, like he's improved it. I think his rookie year he was like 25%. Second year he dipped to like 22%, and then made the jump to 37%. Yes, on the 1.2 attempts a game. But
it's the same attempts throughout his whole. It's the same amount of attempts and makes basically. Yeah. So I guess the concept he's shooting, 25%. Well, not 25, 15% better. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, I'll say
it shows he's working on it.
Yeah, I have no doubt he can do it, but now we're at the point where you just got to see it, and I have no doubt that's something he can easily add to his game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, Brett, you did allude to him and his Defensive Player of the Year level defense. Simple question. Does he win one at some point over the course of this contract? because we know there's going to be a lot of competition. There's that guy down in San Antonio that, a lot of people think that they'll just kind of write his name in every year. You still have a Jaren Jackson who defensively has been at that level. You have, guards like a Drew Holiday, Marcus Smart, maybe a Derek White, a Jaylen Brown. So do you think he does get one over the course of this contract?
I'm going to say no. I think he'll be consistently in the top 10 voting every time, and I think most years he'll be top 5 rather than top 10. It is definitely possible, but man, in the next 5 years, I'm already penciling in Wemby probably for at least 2.
Yeah.
And then you got guys like Triple J. Maybe, Giannis is always a threat to come out of nowhere for one. And even our most recent one, Rudy Gobert, still has some good years left. He could very well win that 5th and break the record. So I'm going to say no, but I think he'll consistently be a top 5 finisher.
Okay.
To keep it short and simple, no, I don't think so neither. I think maybe even potentially we could see him as a final 3 for voting one year, having a chance, getting second, maybe be runner-up, get third place votes. But no, there's just Wembanyama so good. Like Brett mentioned, Gobert still has good years. Jaren Jackson Jr., who's won the award as well. You still have great guards. Man, Giannis is also a threat. He had a run with him. Let's not forget about that. It's rough. It's rough to win it.
Yeah, I was saying, I forgot to mention Anthony Davis and Bam still.
Yeah. Yep.
Anthony Davis is a big threat for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Just want to kind of find out because Evan Mobley does play really good defense, but in a league where we focus so much on offense and a lot of people look at the league and go, oh, defense is secondary. There are still guys in this league that play high level defense. Mobley is one of them. Jory said, no, not Bam. Look, I know where you're coming from because Heat culture is going to keep Bam in the conversation. I'm not going to knock Bam necessarily. He is a versatile defender. Yeah, that's a whole other avenue we could go down. Bam ain't on them folks level. That's kind of speaking to this past year where I know Jory and myself didn't necessarily agree that Bam should have been a finalist, but it is what it is.
Even if we think that, though, sometimes you see guys who might not be at that level win one, right? We just saw Marcus Smart win a DPOY. Is he really on the level of all these other guys?
I had to go with my guy Marcus Smart like that.
I'm sorry, but he's the most obvious option in this one. I think Marcus Smart's one of the best guard defenders this decade. I think he's maybe the best. But is he at the level of the other DPOY winners? Not necessarily. But I think that still kind of shows that someone like Bam, who might not be at the level of somebody eventually be at some level of what Wemby ends up being, could still sneak one in there.
To be fair, when you think about it, Evan Mobley was in the final 3 the year Jaren Jackson won.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he already has a final 3 finish.
Yeah. Even though he's got second to Brook Lopez that year. Hey, that was a crazy run. 34-year-old Brook Lopez.
Yeah, there's another name.
He was right there too. He was right there too.
Oh yeah. And there's another name. Not like Brook Lopez is going to go down as an all-time defender, but hey, he snuck one in there, so why not Bam?
Mm-hmm.
That's true. I had to knock my guy Marcus Smart to make your point, but it's okay. It's all good.
Yeah, I took down I went at my guy too, so.
I know, it's all good. All right, let's go to our next topic. The NFL. It seems like every offseason we get this talk about schedules. There were 16 games for so long, gone to 17. Now we're getting that 18-game schedule talk once again. I do believe that in terms of high-level conversations about it, haven't happened yet, but they're still being talked about. It's obviously going to happen. We all know that 18 games are coming. I feel like the obvious question is going to be, how should the league format an 18-game schedule in terms of like how many preseason games should teams play? What do you do with bye weeks? How many bye weeks should a team get? We'll just start the conversation there. Oh, actually, first thing would be, do you want to see an 18-game schedule? That'll be the first question, and then go into how you would format the team's schedules around 18 games.
Personally, I mean, as a fan, more football is always fun, especially if it's gonna be regular season. But not really. I don't know. I feel like it's getting kind of just like out of hand. You're just gonna make it more and more and more and more. And I guess there's nothing
Mm-hmm.
wrong with 18. Like, but it just kind of just feels obsessive, you know? We're seeing a lot of injuries every year. We're seeing a lot of players get hurt. I mean, maybe if you implement an extra bye week for them, yes. I mean, the Pro Bowl sucks. So it's just like, I kind of liked the Joe Burrow idea, having like a mid-season one would be kind of
Mm-hmm.
interesting because you definitely see a lot of different names that would probably wouldn't be thrown in there because they'd had a good, you know, middle of the season part aspect. Something like that, but definitely 2 bye weeks. You know, the NFL's doing it because they want money. They don't really care about player safety as much as they say they do. If they did, you know, this would be something they'd really think about. Like, especially with be having multiple bye weeks, just having one and like a 3-4 month span just would suck. Especially if you
Yeah.
have stretches where you're going to be on the road every week, short early games. I don't like it. I mean, 17, I guess I wasn't a big fan of that. And now that we have it, you know, with the extra playoffs, I'm kind of, no, I don't personally care. I'm kind of a fan of it. But 18 just seems weird. It just seems like a lot of movement and shifting. It's like now teams are going to be, what, 10-8 to end the season? And that's weird. It's weird. I don't like it. And it's like the quest to be undefeated also gets just a lot harder. It's like, man, we only had one team that's
Yeah.
been undefeated, period. Now we're up bumping that up to 18 games. I guess the first team to ever do it. Like, no team's ever going to go 17-0. That's just not going to happen. They didn't give anyone like a good enough chance.
Okay. Brett?
I'm okay with it. At the end of the day, it's more football, more meaningful football for us. I think it's easy. Just take away a week of the preseason games and just make it a regular season game. Maybe throw in an extra bye week. It'll be weird at first, but I'm all down for it. And throw it out there right now. Yes, if somebody breaks a record in an 18-game season, it absolutely counts. I don't want to hear that when the schedule switches over because that was the most annoying
Right.
discourse ever. Because by
Yes.
that logic, we shouldn't count any record that got broken after like the original NFL schedule, which I think was like 9 games. So if you can't break the records in like 10 games, then they shouldn't count.
I am not against though saying not having like an asterisk to be like rude or anything like that, but saying like, hey, this was done in an 18-game season. This was done in a 16-game NFL season. Like just having that known, just so it's like, okay, I got it now.
Right. Okay. Yeah, you're not saying like you're going to take away from the record necessarily, but just
No.
informing people that this was
Especially
done
the
in
people who did it
14
in like
games or 16 and 18.
Yeah, especially like the players who done it in like 12 games. It's like, oh, that record hasn't been broken in that long. They have 12-game seasons then. Dang.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's fine.
Don't mind that. Like educating people on it. Just the people that sit there trying to discredit every record that got broken since the schedule got increased it really bugged me, and that's the part that bothered me. It's like the NFL schedule has always changed at some point or another during its lifetime, so get over it.
Yeah. I mean, how do I talk about discourse on here so far? Because look, a lot of it, if you pay attention every day, it is tiring. I'm right there with you in terms of records in any sport. NBA, they'll do records based on, oh, there was no shot clock, there was no this, there was no that. It's like, okay, that's great. A record is still a record. NFL same way. Baseball, they do it a lot. There's dead ball error, steroid error, like it's a whole thing. But yeah, records are records. They belong in the record book. You can denote them however you want to, but you're not going to take them out for any reason. But yeah, so 18-game schedule, I will say I'm kind of here for it. I guess like 2 preseason games, 18 regular season games. I do agree. There's no way you're going to do an 18 game season and only have 1 bye week. Because imagine if you're one of those teams that gets like a bye week in week 6 and they have to do like 12 straight weeks.
12
That's
straight.
nuts.
You're doing that's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. So there'd have to be a second bye week. I figured most.
I like mandatory bye weeks. I like the mandatory bye week. I like doing a mandatory bye week. Do it where the trade deadline's at too. Just so you give players a chance to acclimate to new teams, learn playbooks. So it's like when they start, it's like way better. They get chance to move, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not having to be put in a whole big rush of it.
So you're advocating for if the trade deadline was like week 7, basically put every team on a bye week 7 for the trade deadline. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yep. You can do something like that, make that one everyone's first bye week, and then from then on you can change it.
Okay, then you stagger it after that.
Yep.
That's not terrible. I could see that. Okay. Let me see what else was there. Okay, so I think the other thing I saw was with a 18 game schedule, you basically would have your Super Bowl be President's Day weekend, which we know everybody says the Monday after the Super Bowl should be a holiday. I guess technically it would be, with President's Day being the following day. Most people would probably be home. So I mean, look,
my birthday's actually on President's Day sometimes, so I guess I wouldn't hate that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Who
hate
knows?
that.
Man, you
My
see
birthday being on a Super Bowl.
See a Seahawks Super Bowl
birthday?
Sunday. You celebrate birthday Monday. You're just living life right
The
there.
dream. It's the dream. Man, I'm actually all for this now. Kyle spoke it into existence for me.
I try. All right. Let's keep it moving. Brett, this one's close to your heart. Jordan Love has basically said he's not going to participate in training camp and all that until he gets a new deal. The word is Green Bay and Jordan Love seemingly are close on a new deal, which I feel like I understand it from his point. It's going to be his 4th year. You have the 5-year rookie deal. So for him, he probably wants that stability now, coming off of the year he just had. If you're Green Bay, it might be a way to save a little bit signing him now, because let's say he were to play next year, has another really good year, that price tag is going up exponentially. So do you see any chance that these two sides don't get anything done?
No, it's going to be a little rough. I think, we're in a world where Jared Goff just got $53 million. So you're going to have to give Jordan Love some big, big money. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's hard to say if it's deserved or not. I think just all these quarterbacks are getting stupid money with little results. And not that Jordan Love has the most results out of someone like a Jared Goff, maybe. Lions did pretty good this season, but someone like Trevor Lawrence, who also just got a crap ton of money, who hasn't even won a playoff game. It's deserved for Love. You're gonna have to pay him. But with that being said, it's going to be, big money with some of these new quarterbacks coming up. Imagine when CJ Stroud has to get paid. How much that's going to be. So, Jordan Love's going to be a good quarterback on a good deal. I don't see a way it's not going to get done. He's not going to want to go anywhere else.
Right. Brett, is this your team? What do you think?
I don't see this ending without Jordan Love getting the extension he wants. I'm sure they probably are close. They're probably close to done, I'd imagine. They're probably just, finagling on that fine print at this point.
Yeah, all the incentives.
Yeah. When it comes to Jordan Love, he's going to get paid. And if you play, and I say pay him now because, like you said, if he plays at this level that he played this past year again next year, he gets a lot more expensive. Because then let's say Tua gets paid $55 million. guess what? He's already shown he can do more with less than Tua.
Yeah.
So now his price tag just went up to 60 mil. So this is a guy who you can talk a lot about him, but at the end of the day, all year I've been hearing how bad the skill position group of the Packers and their wide receivers are terrible.
I think the Packers have
And
great. That's wild. The Packers have a
I
great
heard a lot of
receiving
talk
core.
about that. So, and then I hear how bad Jordan Love is, but at the end of the day, I've heard it all, and I think that Jordan Love has shown, especially with that whomping of the Dallas Cowboys, that he proved himself this year. He proved a lot that he can get it done with very little. Now, I think the Green Bay Packers have a very good wide receiver room, and I think we have some very good tight ends, and we have some great play calling. I think we have something going here, but yeah, I think this gets done easily, and I don't think it's close, and I think he's going to get paid a fair contract that when somebody who maybe doesn't deserve it, we just saw, T-Law get paid money, and when someone like Tua gets paid big bucks, we'll be looking at this Jordan Love contract, and it'll look really good.
Yeah, that's a good point. Jory did put that the only one who won't be getting paid, it looks like it's Dak Prescott. Look, if Jordan Love gets signed, you're Dak Prescott. You're probably like, Jerry, man, come on now. Like, give me that deal. And Jerry might just be like, whatever, get out of my office. It's funny that a lot of these guys are getting signed, and Prescott, we don't hear anything about him possibly getting signed.
My thing with Prescott, it's like it's not like the money isn't deserved. It's not like he's playing like better than some of these quarterbacks getting some of this money. It's just he has zero results. Zero. Completely zero. And it's like, man, does he deserve like probably getting like around 55, 56? Maybe. Would I say he deserves the money more probably than like, Jared Goff or like even maybe Trevor Lawrence just based off of talent-wise, what they've done in the league? Maybe. But it's just like you have no results, so it's so hard just giving you that money or saying it's like resolved. Plus you play for the Cowboys, so that's just gross.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to with Dak, right? It's just when you get to the big games, there just isn't any results for him. He had a chance to make a nice run this year, and you can say that Dak put up nice numbers against the Packers, but we all know that was all garbage time stats. When it really mattered, Dak threw a pick, followed it up with one of the worst reads and pick sixes I've ever seen a veteran quarterback throw in a playoff game with a dot right to Darnell Savage. And yeah, sure, when the score was 27-0 and the Packers started getting into prevent defense, yeah, Dak all of a sudden looked awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think with Dak, it's just really simple. You want to get paid next year, go ball out when it matters in the playoffs. You don't need to win a Super Bowl, but at least show that you're capable of making a deep run and be the reason why they do it.
Make a conference finals, dude. Win a game but crush your first opponent. Like, just beat the dog crap out of them and play a second close game. Like, get screwed over again or something.
Yeah. It is interesting with the quarterback market. It just continues to go up and up and up. I keep saying that there's going to be one quarterback that gets signed that doesn't set the new market. I honestly don't know who that's going to be at this point. I'm sure there's league executives looking around like, what do we do about this? Because it's going to get to the point where we're going to have quarterbacks making like $75 million a year. And it's just going to be crazy. But looking at Jordan Love, what tier would you put him in going into next year? Because obviously if he does get the big money, everybody's going to be looking at him to try to peg him in terms of the pecking order of quarterbacks in the league. Because we can all assume like we're still having Patrick Mahomes in his own tier. I'm assuming it's still that way. Is Jordan Love a tier 2 quarterback? Is he tier 3? Where do you have Jordan Love?
So, go ahead.
Oh, you can go, Dylan. I can go last on this one.
So I would say, yeah, if you look at Patrick Mahomes, you would say, he's probably in a tier of his own, just how well he's played. Then you probably have a second tier where you probably put like Josh Allen, maybe CJ Stroud. It's really kind of Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, things like that. Third tier, maybe you put like your Jared Goff, things like that. I think you'd maybe put him in a third tier, but you'd put him maybe at the top of that third tier. That second tier, you look at guys like you probably, like I said, you'll have like Josh Allen, C.J. Stroud, who's made a deep playoff run, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson. You still have a good second tier of players there that have won either MVPs or have had some decent playoff runs, even though it was the same with Jordan Love. It was his first time. If you see some more results, I think that's when you just bump him up into that second tier, especially if the Packers have a great season, win the division, win a couple playoff games, even make the conference championship. Then you'd have to be like, okay, like he does this consistently. Like, got it.
Okay, that seems legit.
Yeah, I don't believe in putting like rookies or players that have only like done it for 1 year like in the top 5, or in this case, I think that would be tier 2. So I would put him in tier 3. I'd put him and C.J. Stroud like right at the top of tier 3. Maybe the third guy trailing, I think, comfortably behind in that tier, Trevor Lawrence. I think they're all grouped into tier 3. But because we've seen too many 1-year wonders for me to sit there and say, yeah, you are one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL. Because I don't know, I saw you play for 1 year, and I'm a huge Jordan Love fan, but I've only seen him play for 1 year. When you do it again, we can start talking about tier 2. But until I see you do it twice, him and C.J. Stroud, you're the top of tier 3 for me.
Okay, I feel like that's fair. It does seem like you two are putting him in tier 3. Obviously, with the arrow trending upwards, puts together another season kind of like last year. Then he can kind of knock down the door and enter tier 2. And I think that's fair because, yes, it may be his 4th year that he's going into. You got to remember, first and second year didn't play, and he only got to start really last year. So if he does struggle next year, it would look a little premature putting him into a tier 2 group already. I think I would agree with you. Like tier 3 sounds about right. I think to some people tier 3 sounds like, oh, he's just a run-of-the-mill quarterback. It's like, no, because you have to be stingy with, especially tier 1. Like if it's just Mahomes, like that's perfectly okay. And then tier 2, it's supposed to be exclusive. Tier 3 is when you start expanding a little bit. I mean, if you're going to say like tier 4, tier 5, then yeah, that might be a little disrespectful. I think tier 3 is fine to put him in.
And I think too, when you're talking about tiers of quarterback, age and everything's also a factor too. Jordan Love's still young. Mm-hmm. It's not like he's some back 10 quarterback, but he's 39 years old. It's not like if I said Aaron Rodgers is a tier 3 quarterback, because it's not like he's trending upwards. He's only going down. So things like that matter too when I'm looking at quarterbacks, and said guys like Jordan Love, C.J. Stroud, they're still young. Tier 3 is a great spot for them, and they have plenty of time to burst up into tier 2. It's not like they're at the end of their career. Mm-hmm. They're just getting started.
I mean, Jordan Love was second in passing touchdowns this season, and then top 10 in passing yards in his first full year starting. Come on. Yeah. I mean, that's something you got to give him credit for.
Absolutely.
I'll give all the credit to J Love.
Yeah. I mean, only because I love doing Aaron Rodgers slander on here. So going into next season, I mean, Brett, as a Packers fan, like, would you rather have Jordan Love, or would you reverse time, not let Aaron Rodgers go to the Jets and have Aaron Rodgers next year?
Jordan Love.
Okay.
The issue with Aaron Rodgers on this team, and we saw it the 1 year that he played with this young team, it's Aaron Rodgers doesn't share and trust people very well. And on a young team, you need to be able to share the ball and trust other players. Aaron Rodgers struggled when he didn't have Devontae. He didn't have that one guy he could lock up on. And the issue with young players is they're going to make mistakes. You make a mistake with Rodgers, and we saw it in the beginning of the season when Christian Watson dropped that bomb in the first game against Minnesota. That man didn't get targeted for like the next 3 weeks. And that's kind of the issue with Rodgers. He like punishes you for making mistakes. Well, Jordan Love, he'll trust you again. He'll give you a second chance to make that catch and a third. I'm sure there's a limit at some point, but at the end of the day, just a guy like Jordan Love so far has shown that he's just a much better fit on a young team who are going to make mistakes than Aaron Rodgers.
Look, I'm not going to disagree with that because, like I said, I'm here for Aaron Rodgers slander. I was one of those advocating for them getting him out the way years before they did to give Jordan Love a shot. Because who knows, Jordan Love probably would have been further along in his development. And maybe we would be sitting here talking about him about to get the bag and being a kind of solid place in the tier 2 group of quarterbacks. Instead of now going into year 4, we still really don't know what kind of quarterback Jordan Love is. We don't know, is he going to be what he was last year? Will he dip a little bit? Could he actually be even better? Because he put up about 4,200 yards passing with 32 touchdowns, like 11 interceptions. So basically 3-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, which is really good. So the big thing's going to be with him, obviously creating that chemistry with Watson and those guys and protecting the ball. That's the keys for him. Dylan, if you want to go against Brett and say you'd rather have Aaron Rodgers, feel free.
No, if you look back at it, I think when the Packers made that pick, in that 2020 draft, probably a lot of them at the time would probably were against it. Just given the fact, Aaron Rodgers probably still didn't have the greatest relationship, probably still, might have a sour taste in Packers fans' mouth, especially maybe at that time currently. But like getting a receiver or another playmaker, making it work with Rodgers because he was still winning MVPs. He was still at one of his peaks in his career, playing at the top of his game. Maybe having someone like a Michael Pittman or a T. Higgins using that draft pick on that might have. Packers fans still might prefer that, but looking at the situation the Packers are in now, having one of the best up and coming young teams, something that you made with Jordan Love and less drama, because we know Aaron Rodgers was coming with drama, someone who's just humble, just plays football, not getting surrounding in a bunch of stuff. I think Packers fans might appreciate that a little bit more. They're like, we got Jordan Love. We had to wait a couple years, but he's going to turn out to be one of the best young players while Aaron Rodgers still hasn't won anything extra in return. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, and I think Jordan Love was supposed to start sooner. We drafted him after an Aaron Rodgers down year. The issue is we drafted him, then Aaron Rodgers, he's a very petty individual, and he sometimes needs that chip on his shoulder. We drafted him, and Aaron Rodgers just decides I'm going to go win back-to-back MVPs now. So that kind of just messed everything up. But for me, it's all love for Aaron Rodgers. He did a lot for the Packers franchise. I hope he has a great year this year. I hope he balls out. I hope the Jets make a deep run. Kyle, I'm sorry to say that. I know I'm probably banned from the show next week for saying that. But, I'll love A-Rod, but give me J-Love.
Also, it was at Northwest Sports Talk 206. Appreciate you tuning in because I haven't seen that name before. Said Jordan Love is the truth. Look, I agree. He's definitely an up and coming younger quarterback. I'm excited to see what he does next year. I feel like that's all the graphics I have for us. But I know, Brett, you wanted to talk about the All-Star game, WNBA, where they went up against Team USA. The team WNBA ended up beating the Team USA. So I'll let you go ahead and get that started while I get the fun trivia ready.
I just wanted to, put some spotlight on that game because because of how much fun it was to watch. Like, we can talk about how they were talking about on ESPN how they admitted that politics go into making selections for, Team USA, but I just want to put the focus on that game in general. That was a lot of fun to watch. It showed that these Team USA players, there are some of them on there that should have made the actual USA team. Arike was absolutely insane in that third quarter. She was hitting one-legged fades, anything. If you had one defender on her, that shot was going in. It didn't matter. People talk about Caitlin Clark only having 4 points. What they failed to mention half the time is Caitlin Clark getting pressed 94 feet by Team USA. So, and her and Angel Reese shot 50% from the field. They're over that, had a double-double. She was doing really good on cleanup duty. Overall, it was a fun game. And if you want to watch some fun WNBA basketball, go give that a watch. Go watch Arike just go insane in that third quarter. Go watch the great dimes. And overall, I just wanted to put a spotlight on those ladies because that was some great entertainment.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was kind of because I watched like the 3-point and the skills competition as well. And, shout out to Alicia Gray winning both of them. Not necessarily the easiest thing to do. Hold on. Catch up on the comment here. As Jory said, All-Star Game was fun to watch. Had to rewatch it. Absolutely. And because he missed some of it. And then you put that Aaron Rodgers you hope rides off into the sunset. Hey, as a Patriots fan, I hope he stays and they just create more chaos. I'm here for it. But yeah, so like their festivities were great. Like I said, Alicia Gray winning both was cool. The game itself was very competitive, which I feel like a lot of NBA All-Star fans who did tune into it was like, look, you can have an All-Star game where players are going at it and it's entertaining. It was pretty competitive for a good stretch of the game. I know Team WNBA did pull away a little bit at the end, but yeah, it didn't take away from the enjoyment for me as well. So that's definitely a good point there.
And for anybody worried about,
I'll just read Joy's comment. Hold on a second. Alicia Gray's a baller, but she plays for a team that don't know what they're doing. Cough, cough. The Dream. Yes, I watched them as well, and yeah, they're lost. But yeah, go ahead, Brett.
No, I just wanted to say, and if anybody thinks that the Team WNBA beating Team USA is signed for anything to come, Team USA is not going to play anybody as good as what they played against Team WNBA.
Oh, not at all.
So, if anything, I think the only thing that game showed is there are players on Team WNBA that should have made the roster.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, if people think that that's going to be some indictment that they're going to go into the tournament and get blown out, no.
To make it more interesting, they should have to kick someone off the team, just live. If the other Team WNBA wins, the MVP of that game, she gets to pick.
That would be hilarious. Or like
have
I guess
fans
in this case,
vote in the arena.
I have a good call somebody out, play a quick game of one-on-one for their spot. I'm just saying that's
have them do a skills competition.
I'll say Enrique, she would have cooked like this. Say Enrique would have cooked them all in 1v1. It didn't matter on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Jory put that once Tarazi retires, spots will open up. Yeah, because you have to assume this has to be it for Tarazi.
She's a great veteran presence. Her pep talk at the end of the game after they lost about how it only gets harder from here was all great. But to me, a big issue that it showed with Team USA in picking players based on seniority is you can outrun them. That's what Team WNBA did. They were just younger. They were more athletic. And they just kept pushing the pace and pushing the pace and pushing the pace, and Team USA couldn't keep up. I don't think we're going to run into anybody that can replicate that, but I think it does show a need that, especially for the 2028 Olympics, we will for sure have to just get younger at some spots.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So now's the point where we kind of do our fun trivia and everything like that. So I don't have a graphic or anything because last time we tried to pull up the hoop grid and stuff, all the ads and stuff was going crazy. So what I think we're going to try tonight is, so I have 3 categories. It's going to be either NFL or NBA, and Dylan and Brett will have to try to guess the top 5 players within that category. That category, you get 5 points on down. I guess we'll go the first one to I don't know, 10 or 15, whatever. Well, I guess we'll just do the 3, and then whoever has the highest score after that will just win. So the first category I have is, obviously can't look it up. Nobody in the chat as well can't look it up. NFL receiving yards last season. Who were the top 5 players? Let's start with Dylan with the first guess.
I'm gonna go Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Okay, so Amon-Ra St. Brown was number 3. He had 1,515 yards, so he's the 3-point answer. All right, Brett.
I'm gonna go. I'll go with Devontae. Give me some Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams was not in the top 5.
Oh, that's fair. Jimmy G was pretty terrible last year.
All right, Dylan, it's back to you.
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill was the number 1 answer. He had 1,799, so that's good for 5 points for Dylan. All right, Brett.
I'll go CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb came up second, 1,749, so 50 yards less than Tyreek Hill. So that's good for 4 points. All right, back to you, Dylan.
Number 4 and number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Puka Nacua.
Puka Nacua was number 4. He had 1,486, so that's good for 2 points. And now, Brett, can you come up with number 5?
Oh my goodness. This is gonna be tough. I'll stick with the basic guess. Give me Justin Jefferson for 5.
He was not number 5. All right, Dylan, can you come up with number 5? So we'll say Justin Jefferson only had like 1,074.
Was it Keenan Allen?
It was not Keenan Allen.
I'll try DJ Moore.
It was not. Nope. It was not DJ Moore. Getting close.
Brandon Ayuk?
Nope. I was just gonna say DJ Moore was actually number 6, so he was just off.
Oh, dang!
And Ayuk was number 7.
Oh, this is man, this is tough. Man, I don't think it's Quentin Johnson. Let me go. I feel like it's gonna be.
Ooh, I think I might know.
Terry McLaurin?
Nope, it was not Terry McLaurin.
Amari Cooper.
It was not Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper was like 10th. You guys are right around that area. Jory put, well, I mean, Chad, well, Jory, I can't necessarily tell if you're right. I will say Puka, we already named. Puka was 4th.
Michael Pittman?
Oh, that's a good one.
It was not Michael Pittman. Nope.
Calvin Ridley?
No.
Oh, come on.
All right, so at this point, I will give you a clue. NFC East.
NFC East? AJ Brown?
It was AJ Brown. 1,456. All right. Sorry, Jory. The question was the top 5 in receiving yards last year in the NFL. So they were Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Puka Nacua, and AJ Brown. Dylan got 10 points on that one. Brett, you have 5. All right, let me write that down so I keep track of that. All right. Okay. All right, so the next one I have here, well, I'm going to pull it up, It's going to be an NBA one. Where is it going on? I had it saved here. There we go. Here we go. All right, so let's go with top 5 rebounds per game. We started with Dylan last time. Let's start with you, Brett, on this one.
Rebounds per game. All right. Start with Rudy Gobert.
He was number 2 at 12.9 rebounds per game. So you get 4 points for that one.
Okay. What about Wembanyama?
Wembanyama was not in the top 5.
Ah.
Okay, just elite rebounders. I'll guess Jokic. I feel like he's got to be top 5.
Jokic was number 4 at 12.4 rebounds a game.
Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis was number 3 at 12.6.
Okay.
All right, so now you need 1 and 5.
Okay. Let's see. Joel Embiid.
Joel Embiid was not in the top 5. Nope. So just to reiterate, if you are listening or watching, of course, we're trying to get the top 5 rebounds per game last year in the NBA. So far, we have number 2 with Gobert, number 3 with Anthony Davis, and number 4 with Jokic. Need 1 and 5. All right, Dylan, your turn.
1 and 5. Thinking. I guess I'll just throw Giannis out there just because. Was Giannis?
Giannis was not in the top 5. So I guess I'll give you each one more guess, and then I'll give you a clue on one of the players.
Ooh, let's see. I'll guess Jared Allen.
He was not top 5. Nope.
Man. Was Luka Doncic up there?
Nope. He was not. All right, so
Maybe
the
he might have
clue
been close.
I'll give you. Actually, I guess I'll just give you for both of them. Well, one was Eastern Conference, one was Western Conference. I mean, that's okay. I'll give you that for one clue. But the second clue would be one is in the Central, and one is the Pacific Division.
I'll say I feel like the name I'm overlooking. I feel like one of them Sabonis.
Sabonis was number 1 at 13.7 rebounds a game. So now you just need the Eastern Conference player in the Central Division.
Is it Bam Adebayo?
Okay, it's not going to be anybody on the Bucks. We're terrible at rebounding half the time. It's not going to be anybody at Detroit, although they do miss a lot of shots. Not Cleveland. This is throwing me off so hard because I know it's not Indiana. Which team? It's not Vucevic, is it?
Nope, it is not.
Man. Was it Pascal Siakam?
It was not Pascal Siakam. So once again, I'll give you guys one more guess, and then I'll give you another clue.
Okay, Central. I'm thinking about the right. It's Bucks, Pacers, Cavs, Pistons, and Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
Evan Mobley?
It's not Evan Mobley, no.
Was it Jalen Duren?
It was Jalen Duren. Durant.
Ooh.
11
There we go.
6
I
rebounds
thought
a game.
about it. When I heard Pistons again, I was like, oh, it's most definitely Jalen Duren.
Yeah. So now that round, Brett, you got 11 points on that one. Dylan had 4. So that brings it to Brett now leading 16, Dylan 14. We have one more category left to see who ends up winning this. I think we're going to stay in the NBA because I feel like this one's going to be interesting as well. Give me steals per game leader. Top 5. I think this is a good way to end this and see who can pull our first edition off as the winner. So we went Dylan, Brett. Dylan, you'll start this one. Top 5 players steals per game.
Alex Caruso.
Alex Caruso is number 4 at 1.7 steals per game. So that's good for 2 points.
All right, give me DeAnthony Melton.
Not in the top 5.
Steals.
Mm-hmm.
Just Jose Alvarado just cause.
I mean, would love to see him in top 5, but he was not top 5.
Fair enough.
Give me Steph Curry. The man plays the
Not
passing
top
lane
5.
a lot.
He does.
Steals. Such a weird stat.
It is, yeah.
Drew Holiday.
Not in the top 5.
Oh, well, I was going to guess the other Celtic. Give me Derek White.
He was not top 5. Would love to see ballhead Derek White on there, but no.
Shea Gilgeous.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was number 2
Okay,
at
cool.
2 steals per game. So that's good for 4 points.
Whew. Give me Herb Jones.
Not top 5.
Was Wemby at all? I know he was crazy defensively, just overall.
Oh, who?
Wemby?
Wemby? Not top 5, no.
But
DeJounte Murray?
Nope.
so we're missing what, 2 and 5?
Lead 1, 3, and 5.
1, 3, and 5. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I will say all 3 of them, Western Conference players.
One, two. Anthony Edwards.
Not top 5.
I think a light bulb just went on. Is number 1 De'Aaron Fox?
Number 1 is De'Aaron Fox. Yes. I was hoping because I thought when you said like Curry loves to play passing lanes, I was like, De'Aaron Fox loves doing that too. I thought you were gonna go there, but yeah, he was number 1.
It was as soon as you
2.1.
said the Western Conference, that's when it hit. I was like, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you need 3 and 5. Both plays Western Conference.
Paul George.
Not top 5.
We'll throw a little bit of a curveball here. Was Matisse Thybulle top 5?
Matisse Thybulle was number 3. Okay, we're getting there.
Blazers legend. Let's go.
Now you need number 5. When you do name this person, you'll probably be kicking yourselves it took you this long to get to him.
Devin Booker.
Not Devin Booker.
Jordan Love? No, Luca?
It was not Luka. No.
I'll throw a curveball, man.
Is it Kyrie?
It's not Kyrie. Nope.
Who am I kicking myself for not naming? Trying to think, who am I going to be kicking myself for after this? Okay, I'll throw one out there. It's not set. I'll throw it out there. Draymond Green.
It was not Draymond Green. Nope. So I will say this. You're in the right state. That's all I'll say. You're in the right state.
Is it Kawhi?
It is Kawhi Leonard. He was number 5.
As soon as you said the right state, I'm like, it's Kawhi, is it?
I was like, it has to be him.
All right. So that round, Brett had 8 points. Dylan had 7. So that means that Dylan ended with 21. Brett, 24 points. So Brett takes home the win this week. I don't even know what to call the game, but it is what it is. I don't know. I'll come up with a name for it next week.
Thank goodness I just had Matisse Thybulle's name on the back burner.
Matisse Thybulle saved you. As Jory chimes in that the Yankees are losing to the Mets, that's made my night that much better because I think the Red Sox are beating the Rockies. And the Yankees just cannot find a way to win. It's all good with me. So, that's kind of like how our show goes. We love to end with some fun trivia. We'll definitely be back next week with some more topics. I mean, we'll have actual Olympic basketball to talk about. We'll definitely do that. See how the USA gets their trip to Paris started. I'm sure we'll probably have like the Jordan Love contract by then. We'll definitely dive deep into that. And then if anything else big happens across the sports landscape, we'll definitely give you our opinions on that as well. Brett, Dylan, you guys have anything you want to add before we get out of here?
No, not anything specific. Just everyone's reporting to training camp for football, which is fun. Hopefully everyone doesn't get hurt, stay healthy. Everyone's team starts 100% healthy this season.
No, great show. A lot of fun.
All right. Don't really have much to add as well, other than, we didn't touch on it, like the whole Jordan Addison thing. Like these players, hopefully they can have better judgment, because like Dylan said, we're about to get into the NFL season. I don't think we've been on since, the tragedy with Kyrie Jackson from the Vikings. Him lose his life to a drunk driver. Obviously, not the news that you want to hear about going into the NFL season. I'm sure Minnesota will do something for him, and the league will probably do something for him as well. So just people, be safe, be responsible. We are here every Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. You can catch us here on Integrity Sports Network. So make sure you give the video a like, subscribe, follow, depending on the platform you're watching. You can check out Brett, as you can see from his background. He's on the N1 podcast as well. Dylan, you find him here. May pop up on some other shows coming up. You never know. For me, you see me here do Passion and Precision on Fridays with Jory, who was in the chat. Also, Bases Loaded podcast on Thursdays. So, like I said, just make sure you follow or subscribe to the network to catch all the great shows on here. But for myself, Dylan, and Brett, we'll get out of here. You enjoy the rest of your night. We'll see you next week. Who knows? You may find one of us on College Football 25. Just saying. We might run into one of us. So we'll catch you all next week. Good night.